Okay, for topic two, we're going to look at some applications with US measures of weight. Okay, so in the previous section, I think it was 5.4, we did something similar to this where we were dealing with converting with mixed units of measure, and we're going to do the same thing here. So again, nothing shockingly new. We're just using a different type of measure or different units of measure. Okay, so example two says convert the mixed units, include correct answers or include correct units with each answer. So for part A, we have 68 ounces, and we want to convert that to pounds and ounces. So we want that to look like this, 68 ounces, and we're going to convert it to pounds and ounces. So essentially, we're going to see how many full pounds we can get out of 68 ounces, and then whatever is left over is going to remain ounces. Okay, so let's start the process. I do the process the same way. It's just when I go to do the side work, I actually do the side work and I set up for long division. Okay. So we get 68 ounces over 1. Now I need to multiply that by some unit fraction that relates ounces and pounds, and you can remember use either just pounds if you prefer, or you can use LB for ounces. There are 16 ounces in 1 pound. All right. We notice that ounces cancel, pounds are left over. That is great so far. When I clean this up, I get 68 pounds divided by 16. And we do want to do side work here. Okay, so ordinarily I'd say just do the side work in your calculator. But in this case, we don't want a decimal answer. And if we did 68 divided by 16, we would get a decimal answer. So instead, we're going to do 68 divided by 16. And then let's see here. How many times do we think 68 will go into, or how many times do we think 16 will go into 68? I think 5 times 16 is 80, so we know 5 is too much. 16 times 3 is 48, so that's maybe too little. So let's try 4. All right, so we can do a little side work here. 16 times 4, well, 6 times 4 is 24, so keep a 4, carry a 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6, so that's perfect. So we can say that 16 goes into 68 4 times. 4 times 16 is 64, so I get 4 left over. So the number in your quotient is the larger unit of measure. The number in your remainder is the smaller unit of measure. So we would say that 68 ounces is equal to 4 pounds with 4 ounces left over. Okay? There we have it. Now, part B is a little bit different in this case. I have 9 tons, 850 pounds. So I'm starting with a mixed unit measure. I want to convert it to just pounds. Okay? So what we have to do is we have to convert the tons to pounds and then add this number of pounds, the 850 pounds that we had kind of off to the side. And then when we add those two, we'll get the final answer in just pounds. Okay, so let's take 9 tons. I want to convert this to just pounds, so I need a unit fraction that relates tons and pounds. And I know that there is 1 ton to every 2,000 pounds. So make sure your tons are in the denominator, pounds are in the numerator. So tons cancel, leaving pounds in the numerator. So when I clean this up, I just get 9 times 2,000 pounds all over just 1. So that becomes, let's see, 9 times 2 is 18, and then we just add the zeros. So we get 18,000 pounds. So then over here, I have 18,000 pounds. That's my 9 tons. I need to add 850 pounds. That was that partial ton that we had to begin with. So that tells me finally I have 18,850 pounds. Okay, so be on the lookout for problems like that where you start with mixed units and you want to convert it to just one single unit at the end. Okay. Now, for example 3, we're going to add mixed units and we're going to subtract mixed units. And we definitely did this in 5.4. So it was kind of, I told you at the time, it was kind of like adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Okay, it's very similar to that process that we learned way back in chapter 3. So example 3 here says, perform the indicated operation, include correct units with the answer. So I have 4 pounds, 12 ounces, plus 7 pounds, 9 ounces. So I just want to line up similar units vertically, and then I want to add similar units. So I'm going to add my ounces, then I'm going to add my pounds. And if my ounces are more ounces than would be in a single pound, we're going to do a little work. Okay? So let's see, 12 ounces plus 9 ounces, that's 21 ounces. And then 4 pounds plus 7 pounds is 11 pounds. But notice 21 ounces is more than 1 pound. Because remember, there are 16 ounces to 1 pound. Okay? So let's go ahead and convert 21 ounces to pounds and ounces. So 21 ounces, we're going to convert it to pounds and ounces. And so we know that 1 pound is 16 ounces. So how many times will 16 ounces go into 21 ounces? Well, one whole time. So I can get 1 whole pound out of that. And then if I subtract the 16 ounces from 21, that leaves me with 5 ounces left over. So essentially, I have 11 pounds plus 1 pound, 5 ounces. Let me rewrite the 1 pound so it's not so scrunched. All right, so that tells me total, I end up with 12 pounds, 5 ounces. And that would be my final answer. Okay? Now for part B, we're going to subtract. So we're going to set it up the same way. We're going to line this up vertically. So I have 8 tons, 1,200 pounds. From that, I want to subtract 3 tons, 1,900 pounds. And of course, because I'm me, I gave you a situation where you have to borrow. Okay, so just like with subtracting mixed numbers, if the second fraction was too big to take away from the first fraction, we had to borrow from somewhere. So because 1,900 pounds cannot be taken away from 1,200 pounds, I have to borrow. So I'm going to borrow 1 whole ton. So that ton, or that 8 tons is now going to be 7 tons. And then that ton that I borrowed, I'm going to add to my 1,200 pounds. But I'm going to add it as just regular pounds. Okay, so let's clean this up. So we now have 7 tons. And remember, 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So I'm going to basically add my 2,000 pounds to my 1,200 pounds, which makes that 3,200 pounds. And then from that, I want to subtract my 3 tons and 1,900 pounds. And now we can do the work. Okay, so looking at just pounds, 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is still 0. I can't take 9 from 2, so I want to borrow from the 3. 3 becomes a 2, and the 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 9 is what? 3. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. So I get 1,300 pounds. And then I need to subtract my tons. 7 tons minus 3 tons is 4 tons. So we have 4 tons, 1,300 pounds. Okay, so that is adding and subtracting when you have mixed units. And then remember up here, we took a single unit and broke it down into mixed units. And then for part B, we took mixed units and converted it to just a single unit. Okay, so make sure you understand how to do any kind of conversions in the US system with length and weight, and then how to also do this stuff with mixed measures.